Steph, thank you. How's this for an event? History being made in the UK, where a grandmother has become the first person in the world receiving the Pfizer vaccine outside of a clinical trial. So here she is. This is 90-year-old Margaret Keenan. She received this at her local hospital in central England this morning, just a week before she turned 91. Britain is the first country rolling out the COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer and BioNTech to its population, and the first recipient is encouraging others to get the shot.
I would say go for it. Go for it because it's free and it's the best thing that's ever happened at the moment. So please go for it. That's what I say, you know. If I can do it, well, so can you.
The first of 800,000 doses of that vaccine will be given in the coming weeks. Up to 4 million people in the UK are expected to get the vaccine by the end of the month. And when we talk about it here in Canada, it's the largest mass immunization in our history. And the Prime Minister says it is possible that some of our most vulnerable could get the shots before the holidays.
We are now contracted to receive up to 249,000 of our initial doses of Pfizer BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine in the month of December.
A final decision on the Pfizer vaccine is expected in the coming days from Health Canada. Trudeau says if a thumbs up comes by the end of this week, Canadians could begin getting vaccinated next week. Major General Denis Fortin, who is in charge of vaccine logistics, says 14 provincial distribution hubs will go through a dry run this week to find any issues in the supply chain.
Boxes are in the air right now. They left Belgium and they're on their way to the next transit node in the cold chain. They're being monitored. So we will learn. This is one way this week where we will learn how the process will flow.
While the Public Health Agency of Canada will oversee the distribution, provincial governments will decide who gets vaccines first and how that will happen. The National Advisory Committee on Immunizations has recommended the first priority go to long-term care homes, frontline healthcare workers, people over the age of 80, and adults living in Indigenous communities. Meantime, we are learning more about what that rollout could look like here in Ontario after retired General Rick Hillier gave the first update from the new vaccine task force. Have a listen.
Phase 1 will take us 2 to 3 months, depending on the arrival of those vaccines. We won't be able to do everyone each day or on the first day, so people are going to have to be patient.
The time frame for each phase is still unclear, but Hillier says phase 2, when the bulk of vaccines arrive, could begin in April and last between 6 to 9 months. The goal is to have people visiting the drugstore or their doctor's office by phase 3, possibly around October to December 2021.
But we're still very far, and I got to repeat that, very far from having the millions of vaccines we need for mass immunization.
The province is expected to get 2.4 million doses. That is enough to vaccinate 1.2 million people during the first 3 months of the new year. And still ahead here, we're going to be speaking to Dr. Isaac Bogosh, who is on that COVID task force when it comes to rolling out the vaccines. And he is coming up just after 8 o'clock this morning. Let's talk numbers now. For the third day in a row, the province has set a new daily record for COVID-19 infections. 1,925 cases were reported on Monday. That is one more than the previous day. 26 more lives were lost, bringing the total to almost 3,800. Toronto leading the way again with 601 new infections, followed by Peel Region with 512 and York Region with 167. We're going to give you a closer look at those numbers coming up at 6:45. In a wide-ranging survey that posed several key questions related to COVID-19, over 70% of Toronto residents say they are prepared to get vaccinated once it's available. The online Toronto Public Health Survey conducted by Ipsos Reid also shows the second wave's impact on our mental health. 56% say they are tired of the restrictions and precautions, 39% frustrated by the city's lockdown, and half are worried about money. The restrictions are also changing how we live. 90% say they now wear a mask. 42% say that they are getting less exercise. And a third of Torontonians say the pandemic is keeping them up at night. We'll bring you more on our COVID coverage coming up in just a bit. The Toronto police officer sentenced to jail in the assault of a young black man in Whitby will now be facing a disciplinary hearing today before the Toronto Police Services Tribunal. Constable Michael Theriault sentenced on November the 5th to 9 months in jail for beating Defonte Miller back in December 2016. He has been suspended without pay since the sentence. His defense has appealed, and he won't begin to serve his sentence until the appeal is dealt with. Okay, and of course, we'll be following that story this morning for you and throughout the day on City News.